As a company, we're going very long on converged media behavior. We believe that users are interacting with multiple mediums, multiple channels at the exact same time. None more prevalent than social, mobile, and television. And brands, TV networks, agencies are really trying to understand the impact of that behavior. Well, our company started through Northwestern University, founded by the former head of computer science and engineering there, Dr. Alok Chaudhry, who spent the last 30 years in all the major buzzwords: big data, supercomputing, predictive algorithms. And our technology has been honed over those 30 years, really looking at cultural connections, the combination of interactions between people, brands, interests, media. And so social is an always-on channel. We like to say it's the least biased, largest collection of publicly available behavioral information. And so we have started to map social response to TV viewing. And from there, we've been able to start to bring in additional data sources like set-top box information, bring in data sources like ad occurrence information to really get a whole picture as to the impact of watching a TV program and what that has on the brand advertiser. Brands will place spots inside of TV programs based on the premise that they hope their target market is watching a program and then going to be responsive to the ad. Historically, the decision to place an ad inside of a TV program has been based off of demographics. However, I don't walk outside and say, how am I going to behave as a 37-year-old man? I walk out and act based on what I'm interested in and who I'm connected to. And so right now it's becoming more and more difficult for brands to understand just how to reach their users, especially given the fragmentation of media, especially given the convergence of multi-screen usage. And so brands are not looking for just reach anymore. They know that it's a long and winding road to changing someone's brand preference. They need to be placing their message contextually in front of folks who are predisposed to changing that brand preference. And demographic information alone does not give you that indication. So you need to start looking at other metrics, things like ad recall, things like social response, whether someone has an affinity for your brand, an affinity for the television program, thus giving them a brand a higher likelihood to actually, again, not just reach a user, but actually impact them with the message.
Now, Lance, give us an idea about the scope of what you guys can listen to, take in, compute, either on a sort of global basis, or give us some idea and a little bit about, not to get too deep in the weeds, obviously, but how it works and how big it is.
Yeah, so we work with multiple data sets. The first and most dominant is certainly our social data set. We look at over 1.5 billion user profiles, 250,000 interests, 50,000 brands, and 6,000 TV programs on a regular basis. And we map the connections between all of those entities, which is literally trillions of nodes worth of data. The science of just counting all that is impressive enough, yet alone trying to weed out false positives. So we really map all that activity to understand not just whether there's a pattern or trend in the connections between those two, but between any two entities, but how strong of a connection exists and whether or not that connection can be leveraged for future messaging gains. We also start to ingest set-top box data in which we're looking at millions of households, second-by-second data, literally every single button that's pressed on the remote control. And we overlay over 29 different categories of information so we can see who's tuned into what program, whether they're fast-forwarding through commercials, and those that are viewing commercials, what their persona is, what their makeup is. And then of course we also incorporate ad occurrence information that spans over coverage over 60 countries, over 2,000 channels, 600,000 commercials a day. So weaving all this information together is quite a feat. But what it actually provides a brand, what it provides a network, is true understanding of content, of message, and of user behavior.
And that in turn powers ad decisioning, or?
Yeah, that's exactly what it provides. All that science, all that energy starts to uncover and bring us closer to the promise that was digital when it first came about, which was right message, right person, right time. And what people used to comment on when they said right person, or what they left out on the comments of right message, right person, right time, was that the reason why you wanted all that was because it was the highest likelihood of the message actually being received, digested, understood. And now we have the opportunity to really both see whether messaging is digested, whether it is understood, and use it from a predictive standpoint to make better ad decisions, to make better content decisions.
Cool. And finally, Lance, tell us a little bit about the company, the scope of your operations, and kind of, what the roadmap might be moving ahead this year.
Yeah, so the company itself is 140 people across 7 different countries. That's up from 18 people just 2 years ago. We are now heavily present in North America, Europe, APAC. We are truly excited about the fact that our technology is capable in 41 different languages. So when we're talking about weaving together user behavior across 1.5 billion users, we're talking globally. When we're looking at the potential for ad impact, we're talking about this globally, and some of the largest, biggest brands who are spending the most across multiple channels are the ones who really need to start making better decisions based on true consumer behavior. And we're excited for that. We're ready for that. We're bringing that to them.